What's going on, my friends? I hope you're very well. I hope you're having a great day. And today we're going to take a look at this little black pine from seed that I've shown you in previous videos. As you can see, the little candles have elongated and opened, and now is a very good time to decandle it. Yeah. So decandling is the process by which we generate new shoots in the Japanese black pine and in pines in general. But when it comes to black pines, what happens is that when you remove the candle, you can select the shoots and actually get ramification in a very defined, this is a tradition that the Japanese have been practicing for hundreds of years. And so we get that technique, and now we can apply it wherever we might grow Japanese black pines. Yeah, so we're going to do that, and I also have a couple more little pines that I want to show you in just a minute. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to place the camera down, and we're going to proceed with the decandling, okay? So like I mentioned before, whenever you have seen this little black pine, this little guy is about 2 years old, yeah? And look, here we can see a very clear example of what we're going to do today. We're going to cut this, and from this cut side we're going to get 2, 3, 4 many little shoots that we're going to be able to use to ramify this little branch. Yeah, we can see a very clearly defined branch there. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to cut here in the junction of the candle and the little branch. I'm going to go back a little more, just so that we get buds from this side and not this cut side. Yeah, that is a bit of an experiment on my part, but you know, I've been growing pines for quite some time, and I think that's what's gonna happen. Yeah, look at this. So normally we just cut from this side like this, yeah. And we'll have our little candle there. Yeah. Okay, so one down. And I mentioned in previous videos that this little pine has huge needles because it's been over water, it's been overfed, any kind of over that you can imagine. And over here, I don't know if you can see, actually, it's over here. Yeah, you can see. We have another one that we're going to remove. And I'm actually going to leave a couple of needles there, just because it's you know, incredibly well defined, the elongation of the candle over there. You know, here we have it. There's another one over here, but I think I'm going to leave that one so that it can elongate. It can grow a bit more before we can think about decandling. Same thing with this one. I'm just going to leave it there. Actually, I don't know if I should cut it or not, because I remember Ryan Neal saying that if we don't cut the candles, they remain inactive. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a bit of a crossroads for me. I'm just gonna cut it a little bit. Okay. See what happens. There we go. And another thing that we gotta do whenever we are cutting candles is plug the needles. Not everywhere, you know, not haphazardly or without a plan. But we're going to remove needles from the top of the plant, from the top of the tree, and we're going to remove needles from places where we don't want them. So for example, me, I don't want any needles in this side of the pine, because they're going to grow inside of this little curve, this negative space that I want completely cleared. I want to feature that heavily in the future. So in the same way, I'm going to remove needles that grow here in the crotches of the new candles, and I'm also going to remove needles from the top. Yeah. So masters will tell you that you need to leave like a certain amount of needles in the top. You need to leave a certain amount of needles in the middle section and a certain amount of needles in the lower section of a plant. In this case, since it's very, very, it's a very, very young plant, we're just going to leave a bunch more just so that we get that bigger that we need in order to work on it in the following seasons. Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to remove some candles from this little sacrificial branch that we have here on top, because that's going to be the apex. And as a bonsai from scratch, we're going to leave a huge, I'm going to take the camera, we're going to leave a huge sacrificial branch on top so that we can get more more growth of the trunk in general. The trunk is going to become thicker and thicker. Yeah, so there we go. As we can see right now, it looks awful, it looks terrible, but in the near future we're going to see that new buds are going to start to form, and this little guy will continue with its development. Yeah. Okay, so it's actually a bit sad to look at right now. So we're going to go on to the next two. So these are two Pinus cembroides. I mentioned before that this is the Mexican pinyon pine. Yeah, the pine nuts are edible. And I'm showing you this one in particular because this is one of the little pines that I planted when I first started with the Bonsai from Scratch project. And we can see that it's grown. In fact, the little trunk over there, it's nice and thick. But we can see that the needles are not that sightly. They're not beautiful. And that's because, like I mentioned with the black pine, I've been overfeeding and overwatering this little guy. And we can see the huge difference in the leaf size or in the needle size. This is juvenile growth, but these are the mature needles that you'd expect from a huge pine in nature. Yeah. So, what's next for this? This is not a Japanese black pine, so the decandling process works a bit differently. You see that we got the little candles over here? Let's see if we can focus better. You see that we got the little candles over here. Some of them are already growing and elongating. We can see them right there. Yeah, but we're gonna have to wait until these elongate and open before we cut. Since this seems to be very vigorous, I intend to leave these as a sacrifice branch, sacrificial branch, and work with this section of the plant. Of course, I'm going to try and salvage these little guys over here, so that in the future we get a bonsai that is this big, yeah, this tall. So, whenever we see like the elongating candles in a pine that is from the mountains, that's what we do. We let them grow, we let them elongate, and then we cut. Like I did with the black pine that I cut a little, a little further back from where from where the candles started emerging. That's exactly what I'm going to do with this one. I'm not going to cut this, I'm going to cut this, yeah, this section, this complete section here, and we're going to get new buds from this place right here, yeah. But that's the plan for this guy anyways, it's a plan for the future. And we have another Pinus cembroides here, but it's a completely different story, you see. This is one of the little guys that I got in the mail, in the delivery service from that nursery in my country, and we can see that it's completely different. This has not been overwatered, this has not been overfed, and we can see that the needles are tiny, yeah, but the little candles are starting to emerge and elongate. So we're going to do the same thing, but in this particular tree, I'm going to bend it so the foliage can, go down here. We can see that it's very, very little. It's very young. So we're going to wait until we have a substantial amount of foliage so that we can work with it. Maybe I'm going to remove one of these 2 branches that grow from the same place. I'm going to leave 2 here and then the sacrifice branch or the sacrificial branch in the apex. Yeah. So the soil, the substrate for these little pines, I use zeolite, I use crushed bricks. We can see the crushed bricks here, for iron. And you can see that they're healthy. Even though they're living in a very tropical place, very hot place, we can see that they're healthy, they're doing okay. And in the future, they'll make very good bonsai. Very beautiful, not good, beautiful bonsai. Okay, so anyway, guys, that's something that I want to show you today. This is very, unorthodox. I know some people will say this is wrong, this is not how you do it. I'm a noob. So bear with me. I've done it before, so I know that it works. Kinda. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. In any case, the health of the plant, how much water it gets, how much sunlight it gets. I'm trying to be very careful on that. And so in the future, we can see what happens with this technique that I applied today. Okay. So that's it. I'll see you in the next one. If you have any comments, doubts, or anything, please drop them down below. And as usual, have a very